Bicycling around the country has been an ambition of mine since I was young, since high school. And I don't know, we realized one day all of a sudden that we were about to retire and we were going to get a chance to actually try it. So it was something that had been bubbling in the background for a lot of years.
We bought a tandem bike about on his 50th birthday, 55th birthday. When was it?
Oh, it must have been 55.
Yeah, 55th. And so we practiced on it for like 3.5 years, since we hadn't really biked since high school. Then Pat basically planned the whole route out beforehand and figured out how far we could go each day and where we would probably stop and all that sort of thing. And did a nice Google map of all our itinerary. So we got underway on March 1st of 2008, and luckily we went south, so it started warming up pretty quickly.
The part of the planning, we actually planned the town we were going to stop in for the entire 6.5-month trip. We didn't make reservations that far ahead. We just planned where we were going to stop. We would ride for 6 days and take a day off, and on that off day we would phone ahead to the towns we were going to stop in and make actual reservations. So that for the most part we kept to the original plan. When we hit our first 1,000-mile mark, that was a highlight in the sense that we finally felt as though we were really going to do it. We found that people were very friendly along the way. It was amazing to us just how nice everybody was to us.
We had we met a lot of great people during the trip. We met a couple in Marathon, Texas, and she was really, really interested in our trip. At the end, she said, well, if you're ever in Vancouver, Washington, stop in and we'll put you up. Well, it turned out that we actually went right by Vancouver, Washington on our trip, so we contacted her and she said, sure, stay overnight. So we spent a couple days there, and they were just a delightful couple, and we just had a great time, and it was just a wonderful way to spend our rest days. So we were really glad we ran into them. All along the way, the geography geology, I guess, just kept changing. Amazing rock formations and sand and desert and lush forests and just all kinds of things along the way. It was just a gorgeous, gorgeous trip all the way around.
Well, this was a once-in-a-lifetime trip, and the once part is a big part of that.
Yes, quite a deal breaker to do it again. No, we're not doing another trip.
After we were married, we were wondering where we were going to live. I sort of favored the suburbs, and Sari sort of favored the city. But then my mother and father offered to give us the back part of their property to build a house on. And we thought, well, it turned out that this actually suited both of us. So that got the idea of having a house built. And in the process of trying to figure out how to do that and finding a builder and one thing and another, and the fact that I had a cousin who built a house.
And I had a brother who built his house.
So we sort of went from getting somebody else to build it to think, well, we could probably do this ourselves. So it sort of one thing led to another, and that's what we did. Well, one of them was just financing it. I mean, you get building loans from banks, and some banks do. Most banks don't even do building loans. So we would go into the bank and explain that we wanted a building construction loan, and they would want to know a lot of questions about our builder. And then I said, oh, no, we're going to build it ourselves. And they said, oh, well, what experience do you have with that? And I said, well, none. We're computer programmers who've never built a house before. And believe it or not, we found a bank that would get by all of that and lend us some money for a construction loan. So that was one thing.
It was all a challenge. Every time we had to do the next step, we sort of had to learn how to do that from scratch. And then by the time we got good at it, it was done, and we have to move on to something else we had no idea how to do. So I think one of the major challenges was doing the stucco, and so we have a stucco interior and stucco on the outside, and the bricklaying, which was a new skill that we picked up. So it was really fun. We had a great time learning, but it was always a learning curve.
Another challenge is that it took up essentially all of our time. I mean, we had full-time employment, so that we would work in the evenings and what little vacation we had. And so we'd never see our friends. So we got around that a little bit by having them come and work with us, so that we sort of got some help and mostly company and encouragement, so that
and our friends had fun doing it too.
one of the biggest rewards of having built our own home is that we have a completely different relationship with it than we would with the house that we bought. I mean, we know it inside and out, of course, and I don't know, it's special to us, so that we, we enjoy it that much more. I think everybody should build their own home, although one of the downsides, people kept telling my mother that people that build their own homes get divorced before they finish it. So that you really want to make sure that's not going to happen. But in our case, it actually did just the opposite. It brought us closer together. It's just a great thing to do. I think more people should do it. We actually have one other friend couple who did the same two things we did. They built their own home and they rode their bike across the country. So they're both doable things.